to start it off right now, what is SDLC? SDLC is a framework that describes the steps involved in the creation of software from inception to retirement, from beginning to end. It's just not tech. It's just not a technical procedure, but a process model that covers the planning, creation, testing, deployment, and maintenance of software systems. Okay. So the second bullet point is the importance of SDLC. So SDLC has a lot of different importance in general. It's a structured process which ensures that all the critical aspects of software developments are being addressed systematically, reducing the risk of project overruns or failures. Quality control is another thing where it facilitates thorough testing and quality assurance at every phase, which leads to the delivery of reliable and error-free softwares for our stakeholders. Cost efficiency is another major point and important part of SDLC. In general, just by catching issues early in the development process, it helps reduce long-term costs. Project planning is another part of it, where it provides a clear project roadmap, helping to manage expectations, set realistic timelines, and allocate resources effectively. Risk management is another important part of SDLC, where it helps identify potential risk at the outset, allowing for timely mitigation strategies to be put in place. And another, which is last part about the importance, is customer satisfaction. Basically, just ensuring that the final product aligns closely with the customer slash stakeholders' needs and expectations overall. Um, and then let's talk about the phases of the SDLC lifecycle. Okay, the SDLC is segmented into a few phases basically in general. So there's a requirement analysis phase, which this main purpose is to gather and analyze end user needs. So basically, stakeholders are being interviewed in this process right here. And everything's being documented. And why is this important? Because it ensures that the software will address user needs and business objectives. Okay. Another important part of the cycle is, phase is system designs, in which that purpose is to define the software, hardware, and system architecture. Pretty much, it creates a data flow, creating like a data flow diagram and models and interface designs is like a really important part to this too, just to get a clear idea and making sure we involve the stakeholders in this too, just to see if they have any more input on this. And it's basically just a blueprint for the implementation phase, affecting performance and scalability. Implementation for this case right here, which the purpose would be to translate design documents into actual software. So you could be writing codes, developing databases, implementing different algorithms to this. Why is this important? The core phases where the software begins take shape, coding, quality effects, the final product stability in the end of it. Testing it out is another major part of it too, just to ensure the software is defective free and meets requirements in general in this. So you be unit testing, integration testing, system testing in general. There's a bunch of different types of tests just to make sure everything aligns when you're in the testing period. So the importance of that for the testing pace is it's critical for quality assurance, identifying and fixing bugs before deployment, because you don't want to have that when you're submitting it for the final review for the stakeholders and you just see all those type of things messing up. Um, Another part would be the overall deployment to release the software to the production environment. So data and system migration, user training and deployments is what we'll be dealing with right here. The importance of this is it marks the transition from the development to real world use in this case. And overall, the sixth step would be maintenance, pretty much to update, improve the software post deployment, because there will be some issues that come up, and it just pretty much ensures the uh, reliability and just overall longevity and relevance of the software for these are our stakeholders. And overall, that would be it for that part. Let's talk about SDLC models, waterfall versus agile. So the SDLC encompasses various models, each with its own methodology for software development. Two of the most popular models would be the waterfall and agile model in general. So for the waterfall method, which is kind of a more old school method compared to the agile one, the waterfall model follows a linear and sequential approach where each phase must be met and completed before moving on to the next one. Phases include requirement analysis, system design, implementation, testing, deployment. You got to document, obviously. Predictability, offer a high level of predictability for the structure of nature. Changes would be less flexible in this case. Changes are challenging to implement once the process starts. Suitability, best suited for projects with well defined requirements and where change is minimal in general. The importance of this is provides a disciplined approach and clear milestone, ideal for projects where scope is fixed and clarity is needed from the start, basically. Versus the agile approach, where agile adopts a iterative and incremental approach, allowing for flexibility and customer feedback throughout the development process. For this phase, compromise are continuous and pretty much while you're testing this. Sorry, excuse me. Overall, these in this you can make changes throughout the whole phases, and it shouldn't affect the overall outcome because you're making corrections. Documentation is important in this. It's not as heavily emphasized as in the waterfall method, though. Adaptability, high adaptability to changes, even late in the development process, as I mentioned earlier. Customer involvement encourages regular customer feedback and collaboration. This is ideal for projects where requirements are expected to change or are not fully understood from the outset. So, importance of that is ensures the final product is closely aligned with customers' needs, excuse me, and can adapt to evolving requirements as things do change as you move on. My next slide would be communication management in project management. Okay, communication management is a systematic plan to address and oversee all aspects of any means and methods of communication during the project lifecycle. So key aspects of that would be pretty much planning, where you're determining the communication requirements for the stakeholders, executing, delivering the right message and at the right time to the right audience, monitoring, ensuring communication is effective, and adjusting as needed, controlling, managing changes to the communicating plan. Okay. So, what is the importance of communication management? The second bullet, pretty much alignment, where it ensures all stakeholders have a common understanding of the project's objectives and status, which align with the overall deadline. Risk mitigation, effective communication can identify and address issues early on. Relationship building fosters a positive relationship among project team members and stakeholders. Decision making provides the information necessary for stakeholders to make informed decisions throughout the project lifecycle. There's two more points to this. Change management, where aids in managing the change process by keeping stakeholders informed and engaged. And transparency, the last part, establishes trust throughout open and clear communication, making process and decision transparent to those that are involved. Um, so the different type of communication models for this, I'll just go into like a two up for these because I have a bunch. But one is linear model, one-way communication path where a sender transmits a message to a receiver. Example would be like sending out a project status report via email. Um, Another one would be interactive models where it's a two-way communication that includes feedback. It considers the response and reactions to the message. Example of this could be a project briefing where team members ask question and the project manager responds. And overall importance of the communication model helps in choosing the most effective way to convey a message. Overall reduces misunderstandings by acknowledging the roles to the senders. For conflict resolution and communication management, conflict resolution is a critical aspect for communication management, focusing on addressing and resolving disagreements that arise within a project. So some ways, some techniques would be avoiding, accommodating, competing, compromising, and collaborating. For avoiding, deliberately ignoring the conflicts or postponing its resolution. Probably not the best way, obviously. Accommodating, one party gives its wishes to one party gives in to the wishes of another, often to preserve harmony. Another one, competing, one party pursues their concerns at the expense of others, seeking to win the argument. Compromising, each party gives up something, making concession to reach the mutual acceptable solution. Collaborating, parties work together to find a win-win solution that satisfies all concerns. Honestly, collaborating would be the best method for this. Um, okay, one second. And then let's move on to the next slide. Risk management in project management. Risk management is the process of identifying, analyzing, and responding to risk factors throughout the life of a project. It's about foreseeing problems before they arise and planning how to address them. Effective risk management means less firefighting in project management and more predictability and assurance to meet your project's deadlines. Key components for this would be risk identification, risk mitigation planning, risk monitoring in general. So, risk identification, spotting potential issues that could affect the project. Risk analysis, assessing the likelihood and impact of the identified risk. Risk mitigation planning, developing strategies to reduce and eliminate risk. Overall, risk monitoring, uh, keeping track of identifying risk and new risks that emerge overall. Importance of risk management include proactive planning, resource allocation, decision making, project control, confidence, and overall cost efficiency. Proactive planning pretty much anticipate challenges and prepare solutions in advance. Resource allocation help allocate time and resources effectively by prioritizing risk based on the impact. Decision making provides a structured approach to making information decisions when issues arise. Project control increases the control of project throughout the continuous monitoring of the risk. Stakeholder confidence builds trust with stakeholders throughout transparency. Cost effectiveness efficiency, excuse me, saves money in the long term by avoiding crisis management for unforeseen problems overall. So, risk factors in risk management in general would be pretty much when we speak of risk factors in context of project management, we're referring to the variables that can contribute to the risk within a project. For instance, like for risk factors, it could be technical risk, operational risk, project management risk, external risk. So for technical risk, uncertainty in technology or technical performance. Operational risk could be problems within the supply chain, production, distribution. Project management risk, inadequate planning or control process. External risk could be regulatory changes, market volatility, and natural disaster. Uh, so why identifying risk factor is crucial. Pretty much prevention action allows for the development of strategies to mitigate risk before it becomes an issue overall, and informed decision making helps project managers make better decisions about resource allocations and planning. Okay, so the last part was excuse me. Last part was risk management process and its importance overall. The risk management process is a series of steps that guide the identification, analysis, planning, and monitoring potential risk in a project overall. So key steps in risk management process is identifying risk, analyzing risk, plan risk response, implementing risk response, monitoring risk. So identifying risk, obviously, you're trying to figure out where the issue is, analyzing it. This pretty much is diving deeper into it to just realize what the priorities are and how to resolve it. Plan risk response, developing strategies to mitigate, transfer, avoid all these type of issues. Implementing risk, put risk response plans into action if you need to document it. Monitor risk, continuously tracking existing risk and identifying new ones. Overall importance of this would be dynamic response, which would be enabling a dynamic response to evolving risk landscapes of a project, minimize impact, aim to minimize the impact of negative events, and overall maximize opportunity. Also involves identifying and capabilities on risks that could provide opportunities overall. Overall, that was kind of my three main points, or I guess the three main slides I wanted to discuss for this roundtable. By any chance, you guys have anything to add on? James, do you have anything to add on to that or no?
Um, Communication is probably the most important thing, and there's often misunderstandings and
Yeah,
uh, viewpoints, even when there's agreed upon tasks or requests.
yeah.
Do you do you feel like is it? I'm trying to see how I want to word this. It seems to happen so often everywhere I've worked, and it's always wondering how can it ever improve because it's not. Some people always blame it on the culture or the business or whatever, but it seems to be most places I work at. And it exists.
Where people just don't see eye to eye, I guess, on certain things.
Yeah, and there's
Honestly, like I see what you're saying on that too.
yeah.
But like I was telling Chris too, like even if it's not even talking to the stakeholder, but someone within your team trying to meet certain deadlines for projects, and like they're not, let's say, fully up to date, or they don't understand it, the overall goal and all that too. It's honestly the best way to deal with this resolution conflict, excuse me, is to talk to them one on one. I feel like it,
Hmm.
and see what they think about the project, and like how you think about the project, and like how we can align it together to overall meet the goals and deadlines at the end of the day. Because at the end of the day, we're both a part of the same team and we're trying to accomplish the
Hmm.
same thing. So we gotta just like balance each other. We gotta bounce ideas off of each other just to make sure we are on the same page. And like from that, we can move forward to see what's best for what approach to meet the stakeholders' deadlines. So yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I totally agree. Is there like a better? How? What do you feel is the best form of communication? Because I feel like there's things missing or misunderstood, especially like in a chat or email, because it's dependent on who's receiving
Honestly, I
them
think
and
the
where
best
they
way of
are.
communicating is probably like I think through meetings, and like more so I would say uh bouncing each ideas off of each other, and like at the end of it, obviously, like ask your questions, even ask your questions during the meeting if you don't understand it clearly, because you want to, at the end of the day, we want to make sure everyone's on the same page. And like to do that, you'll only be able to do that basically if everyone fully understands what the task is, and like
Hmm.
ways we can improve it too. So like meeting wise, like meeting with everyone, not just one on one, but with the whole group, trying to make sure everyone understands the full concept of what we're trying to do. So yeah.
Oh yeah, I totally agree. I think a lot of times it's always that side channel, one on one here, one on one
Mhm.
there. This guy
Yeah.
asks this guy what's going on. It's like, well, ask him directly. Uh,
No,
Yeah.
definitely.
So, but I
it's
also feel like the one-on-one will come to mostly if you speak to people one-on-one, you get to pick off their body language and stuff
Yeah.
mhm,
and know if there's something wrong. Yeah. And then try to share your idea of what you have about the project, how important it is.
Yep.
And
mhm.
yeah, if someone buys into the idea, I feel like they'll give out their best to make sure the success of the project is fulfilled. Yeah, that's how.
Exactly. No, gotcha. No, no,
Totally
definitely. All right.
great.
So awesome, awesome. We did it.
Yeah.
Let me
Yeah.
Did.
just stop the recording.